Welcome to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Samion, and my co-host, John. John, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Good. You? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been painting a lot and doing stuff, and I'm going to welcome everybody tonight. This is a really, it's almost like a warning for veterans. Okay, and that's how I feel about this evening. We do have a VSO officer that will be coming on. He should be coming on, joining us in just a little bit, and so. But let's kind of dive into a little bit about veterans. Uh, let's not use the words scam, but it's scammed. There's a lot of scams when you get phone calls or you get emails. I mean, I get a lot of text messages. Do you get a lot of text messages as a
Yeah,
vet?
I do.
I get a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean everybody's trying to sell you something or convince you of something, you
Right.
know.
Well, there was one organization like back in the day that used to uh, call up to the shop and say, hey, we work for a VA organization. Would you like to donate money? Because we end up, we give out, toilet paper, we buy them towels, we buy clothe them and everything. And we did it for years. And then one day I asked them the name of the group, and they told me the name. I looked it up, and there was no such group.
Oh,
Right. And so that's whenever now, this is why I'm kind of, more on the offensive about vets and stuff like that being taken advantage of. The first report that me and you are going to talk about, I'm going to bring it up right now. This right here, I'm going to scroll to the very top of it, John. And the very top of it, this is from Consumer Report. That is a government, and it says best and worst charities and donations. This is a government site. So let's kind of scroll down right here. And you got, blind, hearing impaired, cancer, all this stuff. But if you notice, John, right here, it says high rated and low rated charities. So the high rated is on this side, the low rated is right there. Okay, so pay attention to this side. So if you come down here, you're going to run into what is under veterans right here. Okay, and it's the Gary Sinise Foundation in California, and these are high ranking homes for our troops, National Military Family Association, Operation Homefront, Wounded Warriors. Then you go over here and you have Disabled Veterans Foundation. And this is the one that they actually talk about in the Consumer Report that is on the low end. Help Heal Vets, Military Order and Purple Heart Service Foundation, Paralyzed Veterans of America, Veterans Support Foundation. And so, so I was like, me and John were sitting there talking one day, and I ran across a TikTok. And the TikTok that I ran across, I'm going to play for you. And I sent it to John as soon as I saw it. And I was blown away at what this is called. VetCom. Vetcom.us. Okay. And what she had to say about VSO officers and what she had to say about, everything just kind of blew my mind. How VSO officers and DAV, they don't do a good job. They file paperwork wrong. They're the reason why it takes so long. And she really badmouthed. And it's the CEO who it is. But she really badmouthed them. And I sent it to John. And then I got a hold of Sean and Ashley. I sent it to them, and they already saw it. And they made comments. Well, they took that video down. but they didn't take a few other videos down, which we're about to get into. And me and John are going to play theirs. They're only about a minute long, minute and a half at the most. And so I know with each and every one of us out there, you know, I want veterans out there who are still filing to when they see this. If I saw this video and I didn't know about VSO or DAV or anything like that, I would believe 100% what this lady says. So we're going to kind of get into the next video, John. Are you ready?
Let's go.
I don't know how long you have left in service. We typically help people when they have about 120 to 180 days left in service. We help a ton of, like, per capita as a company, we're one of the only people that help active duty service members. We think you should sign up with us now, because if we can help you get to 100% on your way out, that's great. Then you're done and you can walk off into your civilian life, sail into the sunset, and move on with your life. If you attempt to do it yourself and some of them fail, then we have an uphill battle to climb. It's actually better for you if we help you identify what you need to be claiming, which doctors do you need to go see, prepare you for those examinations so that you can exit service at the highest rate possible. I don't know how long you have left in service. We typically help people when they have about 120 to 180 days left in service. We help a ton of, like, per capita as a company, we're one of the only people that help active duty service members. We think you should sign up with us now, because if we can help you get to 100% on your way out, that's great. Then you're done and you can walk off into your civilian life, sail into the sunset, and move on with your life. If you attempt to do it yourself and some of them fail, then we have an uphill battle to climb. It's actually better for you if we help you identify what you need to be claiming, which doctors do you need to go see, prepare you for those examinations so that you can exit service at the highest rate possible.
I know I played that twice, but I wanted to because I wanted. What was your first thought whenever you just heard that? I want to know what everybody's first thought in the comment section was when you first saw that.
I mean, mine was irritation because this individual, who is not a VSO officer, evidently from other information, she's service connected from a sports injury while incurred while in the Marines. But this individual is trying to get people prior to ETSing from the military to claim that they have issues before they ever leave the military.
120 days.
And I'm like, what?
120 days.
And that's because these people, these men and women, simply aren't going to know what's going on. She makes it sound like, oh, get to 100%. Most people don't have any idea what even that means. I'm sure they explain, oh, there's Sean. I think we got Sean.
Hey, Sean, how are you doing? So, Sean, I'm not going to play the video again, but we're talking about VetCom right now. And we just played one of their videos where they say that they help veterans military service people 120 days before they get out to start filing for their claims. Have you ever heard of that before?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Oh, do you? Okay, so that's a normal practice.
Yeah, it's called the BDD program. All right, so it's your benefits before
discharge. I stand corrected, though. I did not know that. That's why
I didn't know that neither.
Yeah, so anytime a veteran is within 90 to 180 days out from exiting or retirement, they can file their BDD claim so that they can have their first VA check the 30 days post exit or retirement along with their retirement check if they get one. Okay,
and everybody, Sean, this is Sean Biddle. He is a VSO officer, and one of the reasons why I asked him to come on tonight is because there's a couple questions I have, especially about VetCom. U.S. because I mean, they sound great. It sounds wonderful, and there's a fee that they charge, but they make it sound like that they can do it better than VSO officers and DAV officers. And as a matter of fact, this is the next one I want to play for you, Sean. I want you to listen to it, and we're going to talk about this.
Yes, sir.
Are VSOs really free? Let's talk about it. Because you hear a lot about, don't use any of those services. You better go to a VSO because they're free. But I would argue that they're maybe not free. They're in bed, if you will, with the VA. Because they're accredited, they can't coach you. And what will happen is they'll make this free claim, but then you'll go to the rating appointment totally unprepared and possibly lose, which would be very costly. The other thing is they're only allowed to make claims that are in your service record already. This is why you see these veterans from latter wars where they might have stormed the beach somewhere and they're only rated for their hearing loss, but they probably have massive PTSD. Well, PTSD didn't exist back then, at least not on the docket. So you got to be very careful and realize that free can be very, very costly. I mean, when's the last free lunch you had that was really good, if we're being honest? So keep that in mind. Free is not always free.
Let's talk about that one there, Sean.
All right. So, yeah, anybody that stormed the beaches of Normandy or stormed the jungle in Vietnam or stormed the sand dunes and Desert Storm in the Gulf War or Iraq and Afghanistan, post 9/11, would file PTSD on a 21-0781. It's our mental health paperwork for the VA to justify it. Now, if you have a combat action badge or combat infantry badge, you are automatically granted a CMP exam without justification. Or if you have any type of ribbon for any sister service that authorizes a combat proving ribbon, then you're automatically granted a CMP exam. I myself was automatically granted a CMP exam for mental health. I have a ton of veterans that were automatically granted due to combat experience. That's false. Yes, I cannot coach individuals. I will admit to that. I am not authorized to coach them. Okay. Articulation is our best justification. I know how to utilize my verbiage and I know how to get my point across to all my veterans that come across my computer or my cellular device. So I'm able to utilize my words to teach them how to have the best possible outcome at the end of their claims. I can file for anything and everything. Do I like to? No. I want the best possible outcome for every veteran. If a veteran listens to me and follows my instructions, it's more than likely going to be positive. I am bound by federal law not to coach, but I'm not bound to speak my mind in a personal setting with an individual. And so what I do on the clock and what I do off the clock are two totally different things.
Well, for me, Sean, though, you shouldn't have to coach. They should go in and tell the truth. That's exactly.
That's the biggest thing too, is we are our own demise when it comes to CMP exams, especially for mental health and different joint pains, because you go in there and you bend over, you touch your toes and you ruin it. Right. But yesterday you couldn't do that because you was hemmed up on the side of the road. Right. Your back hurt so bad you wouldn't have been able to do that yesterday. What veterans have to understand is the VA's got to see your worst day, no matter who represents you. If the VA doesn't see your worst day or see a trend in chronicity or severity of increase, right? If your treatment hasn't increased, your disability has not increased in severity. If you're continuing to do the same thing for 5 years, it looks like it's normal. But if all of a sudden you need further or more extensive treatment, we now warn an increase, right? It has nothing to do with who represents you. It has everything to do with the veteran themselves. Right. And if they have the knowledge going into their CMP exam, they will succeed.
Right. Exactly. But when she says, is the VSO in bed and, are they free? Do you want to explain to the people what VSO officers, this is one thing that I learned years ago. VSO officers work for the state. And they don't. Go ahead and explain it to everybody.
Correct. So I am a state employee inside of my state organization. I do not work for the federal VA. I fight the federal VA on behalf of the veteran. The VA does not like me. My name inside the federal VA system, as far as employment goes, I probably couldn't get a job there if I applied, and they're hurting for people to come work for them. And they still wouldn't take me because they know my track record and how I fight for every veteran, and they're the individuals that I fight. I do not work for them. I'm not in bed with them.
And that's right. And I mean, I have sent a few people over to Sean, and I know he's working with them, and they're saying, "Hey, man, he contacts you in a couple of days. He explains what he needs to do. All this. He you know, he tells you first if you use Sean, and you have to sign over that you're the representatives. That's how it works."
Correct.
Okay, so with VetCom, and her name is Kate. She's the CEO of the company, and just to let everybody know that in this year first quarter they're worth $1.03 million. That's because they charge veterans. And do you make $1.3 million?
What?
Right?
What I would give to have that amount of money.
And
No,
I mean, I know. I mean, everything she says, I agree with most of what she says. I watched every one of her videos. But the one thing that I disagree with is that in one of the videos that y'all can go look them up. They're on TikTok. They're on you. Go look up the YouTube ones, because some of the stuff that is being said is like, she goes, with us compared to somebody like with VSO or DAV, the other organizations, we have your claim done in 120 days. No, that doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. They file the same dang paperwork y'all file, and you got to do the same dang thing, as a veteran with the VSO or them. It's actually the people who read it. It's actually the people that read it, your veterans evaluations. It goes back to the VA. It just depends where it's at, right?
What Sean would be at the very quickest, in your experience, what would be the quickest a veteran could get service connected for their disability if they're going through a VSO like yourself?
It depends. I've had people. Every claim depends on the evidence that you are submitting forward.
Thank you.
Right. So if I submit a claim right now for tinnitus, and I've got service treatment records that show that I had tinnitus in service, and I've got private treatment records from the day I exited all the way up to today's current date, 10 years later, and I supply all that stuff, do they really need a CMP exam? No, they have all the evidence. Every doctor I've ever seen has already corroborated that I still suffer from that condition that was diagnosed on active duty service. So why would the VA pay for a CMP exam when the same thing is going to happen? They're not. They're going to do a records review, which is called an ACE report. I've had claims decided in 48 hours. I've had claims that lasted a year because they just couldn't get right when it comes to the evidence, and they wouldn't listen. The main goal for a veteran's claim to go smooth and a positive transition point through the phases is to listen to the individual that represents them when they say that they need this type of evidence to move forward.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. And I guess the part that kills me on this is that they make it sound like they're really so much better than a VSO. What people don't realize, what's important about veteran service officers, they want you to get your claims done, because not only does it bring money to you, but it also brings in money to the state. And
correct.
And I tell you, she doesn't work for VSO anymore, but she's retired out. Her name is Kay. She was great, perfect. I mean, if I would have her on, she'd be freaking out over these videos, because to claim and I'm not. To me, this is how veterans get rooked into paying people. They're not attorneys. In their videos, they say they're not attorneys. they're exactly what a VSO officer would do. She is a veteran. She's a Marine. Sean, you were in the Army, correct?
Air Force.
Air Force, sorry.
Air
Sorry.
Force.
Did not mean to. Wait, I can't say that on air. I got too many Army people going to watch what I want to say. But
No, that's fine, man. I'm good.
No,
we'll flip
but
each other all shit all day long because we
right,
can.
right. And but the thing I cannot stand is organizations after organizations bashing the people that just make a paycheck monthly to somebody who is going to make millions. They're on a stock exchange. Didn't know if y'all knew that.
Yes. So one thing you got to remember too is, you talked about, the first quarter, what they were worth in the first quarter, right?
Right.
So most organizations like them that are not attorneys collect a percentage every month off the veteran instead of doing lump sums or paid in fulls.
Exactly.
So when you look at that 1.3 from the first quarter, they're going to collect that again in the second quarter. And they're going to collect that again in the third and in the fourth. And those numbers are only going to rise because for the life of the veteran, an organization like that is going to collect 10%, 20%, or I've seen upwards of 30% that they charge per month to file these, like whatever we're going to take.
Really? Throughout the veteran's life?
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, there's organizations out there.
There's attorneys out there that will charge a flat rate of anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000, which you'll pay on for the rest of your life, right? Because if you only get 10% for tinnitus, that's $171 a month, and you don't get any dependency benefits from it, so you can't get extra money. So you try paying off $5,000 to $10,000 with $171 a month.
Right, right.
And it's not worth it.
So
why not just collect that $171 for free? Come to me.
Right.
So obviously, she is not going to tell her veterans, and that's the thing that Kevin, Sean, and I, or Sean, all of us would agree on. It really chaps my ass. This is an individual that's taking advantage of the naive. I don't know if naive, perhaps uneducated about veterans, because let's be honest, most of us, when we left service, probably didn't know, at least I didn't know what was going on with myself. And she's preying on that. Her and her organization is preying on the fact that you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know the system. That's, Sean, that's why you have the job that you have. You're the outstanding individual. You're a veteran service officer. You're the guy that works for the government, that gets the men and women what they need by a proven disability. And this lady talks about the fact, oh, you don't want to wait on the government to get your records because it'll take them forever. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the records? Because she makes it seem like, oh, well, if you try and get your records, you're going to be waiting forever. So go ahead, Sean, if you would, please.
Yeah, so records are a touchy subject, all right? Records don't come from the VA. They come from the National Personnel Record Center out of St. Louis, Missouri, or they come out of Millington, Tennessee for the United States Navy. All right. And you have to request them. Depending on how big your file is, how long ago it was, I always tell the veterans it's 30, 60, 90 days. But in that process, we can file an intensive file to keep your payment date. We've got 1 year to file a claim, which once you get your records, if you know what you want to file for, I do a deep dive. I find it. I supply the evidence. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Within 30 days of getting your records, you'll have a claim in there. Right. So if you get them in 90 days and we take 30 days to file the claim, you're in there like a hair in a biscuit. Okay. You're good to go. And now the VA is going to take their time to run the process of the claim.
Sean, I know that one video. I know Ashley saw it. Ashley saw it before I did. And I sent over to Ashley. Ashley's like, oh, you didn't see the comment I put on there? And then, and all there, and then I look back there, I was like, oh, yeah, you sure did. They took that video down. It no longer exists because she bashed VSO officers and DAV. And one of the questions we have on here, and I think it was Karen that asked it, was how does a VSO, how does that, when you get your rating, bring money to the state? Because the veteran brings the money when the veteran gets approved. Tell me if I'm wrong here. When a veteran gets approved for the disability, not only are they bringing it in as far as where they're going to be able to spend it on you know, household goods, all that stuff, but also for healthcare. They'll get provided a little bit more funding, the state. Is that correct?
Yes,
I'm
so that's
learning this
correct. So I
shit,
mean, when
man.
you think about it, right? If you were making $0 yesterday, right, and I got you 100% today, you know, with zero depend or with one, say one kid, right, you and one child, and you're sitting at like 37.87 roughly, off top of my head, okay, ballpark. So yesterday you weren't bringing in any money, so you weren't spending any money in your state, right? But today I bring you 37.87 for the month. Now you have almost $4,000 that you are free to spend however you want, and most of that gets spent within your state on fuel, on groceries, on
Right.
everything. So it boosts the, you know, economic power inside that community or that area of that state. But also with the healthcare, if you get 100% and you get free healthcare through the VA or any healthcare through the VA, it may not be paid by you, but it's paid by somebody, which is the federal government. And it's paid directly to that VA inside of that state,
And
right?
then
Because
it,
they've got to be able to pay.
and then she also talked about, you know, and so I want to show this next video. And this one, this is the one that probably gets me the most. And I hope somebody out there knows this lady and sends this podcast to her, because I want her to come on and explain herself. I want her to come on this podcast. I would love for her to explain herself. But I'm going to play this. What were you going to say, John?
Well, I'm not sure about on Sean's end, but on my end, when you played the video, you're cutting off like the top of the lady's head. So I want people to be able to see this individual. I don't know if you got to
No,
raise. There you go.
it's showing it's showing the full thing. And so,
Okay. All right.
all right, so here we go. This right here, this is the one that gets me, and I'll tell you why after it's done. Here we go.
Did you know that the VA has a bank account with your name on it that likely has more than $500,000 in it? But here's the crazy part. Because you haven't collected it, every single month they get to draw out of that bank account until they empty it out. That is their goal. That you either stay so blind to the fact that you can collect it that you never do, that they hassle you to death that you finally give up, that you believe that you don't rate it, that you believe that you don't deserve it. That's what they hope. They hope that that account, that they get to drain it month by month by month like sand out of an hourglass. Today's your day. Let's go put your name on the account and start drawing those funds into your own bank account. Get with vetcom.us today and let's make it happen, because in 90 to 120 days, you could be $2,000 to $4,000 a month richer. Let's.
Okay, I'll tell you why this hurts me more than anything else. Okay,
Sean's laughing.
I'll tell you, because the first thing that comes out of her mouth is she's telling every veteran out there, they have a bank. You have a bank account with the government that has all this money waiting on you. That's not true, because number one, it's given a lot of people a lot of false hope, but it's also scamming the system. That's how I look at it. It's scamming the system to tell every veteran out there that there's a bank account waiting for you. Go ahead, Sean.
You got to look at it though. Okay, so I'll give her props. Okay, I'll give her props in her sales pitch abilities, because that's all it is, right?
Right.
One, she's selling herself, and she's got to beat me, who's free, or people like me, right? Who do the exact same thing. They do it for free. We show up, we get our state salary, and we go home. Now, not every VSO operates the same way I do. Okay. A lot of VSOs are like a lot of civilian work employment. They show up to the job, collect a paycheck, and they go home. God love them. They're overworked and underpaid. It's just how the system operates. Then you see somebody that's flashy, that's really selling themselves and telling you, I can make you richer. I can get you 2,000 to 4,000. I can't make you any promises. The only thing what I tell every veteran that comes across my workplace, I said, the only thing I can guarantee you is that I will work my ass off for you. I can't guarantee you I'll get you an increase. I can't guarantee you I'll get you a nickel more. but I can guarantee you that I won't stop until I've worked my ass off for you and we've come to the end of the road. That's all I can guarantee you. She can guarantee you whatever she wants, because at the end of the day, there's no liability in it for her. There isn't. There's just a paycheck for her to collect at the expense of a veteran who could have had it done for free and done in a manner that wasn't as malicious to the VA system. There is no bank account for any veteran. The one thing that I tell my veterans that I have a hard time getting them to file for things is, you're not taken from anybody else. The federal government has U.S. mints all over the United States, right? They make money every day. If the VA grants you a service-connected disability percentage, the federal government makes that money. It's not sitting in an account somewhere where it's going to be depleted. No. Them crisp $100 bills was made the day you got granted your service-connected disability, because they've got to be able to push that money out to you. The well ain't going dry.
Right.
It has to be there. It's not.
And this is what I tell vets, is I advocate for VSO officers. I advocate for DAV. I advocate for anybody that is willing to help a veteran out for free. I mean, so to let y'all know, I was sitting in the neurology department. I'm at a Desert Storm vet, and he actually, me and him start talking. He's like, yeah, man, I try to file myself. And I was like, that's a bad idea. He goes, well, I look on TikTok, they got this lady on here, and it was her. And he goes, and he goes, I'm thinking about filing with her. I said, no. I said, matter of fact, he might be watching tonight, because I said I'm going to talk about her on my show this weekend.
Yep.
And I said, so I found him a VSO officer. I explained to him how it works, what he needs to do. And he was telling me that, he did get in a car accident, hurt his back. And he was like, so he goes, I didn't hurt my back in the military, but I kind of think maybe I could file. I said, no. I said, don't file for anything that's false. I said, that's where the mint's going to dry up. If everybody thinks that they got a paycheck waiting for them, I'm sorry. I'll give you some oceanfront property in Arizona.
Yes. And after doing the TikTok stuff that we've done through Guardians Advocate, there's a lot of people that do not like me because I tell them no. And it's like, I get people that come to me that were National Guard or reservists. Okay. Some of the hardest claims I've ever had to file are National Guard and reservists, because service-connected disabilities are primarily based off of active duty service, right? Which means you either served in the regular Army or regular military branches, not the reserves or National Guard, or you were covered under Title 10, Title 32 orders, or somehow, some way, miraculously got an LOD from a weekend that you were doing drill and was able to cover it. Outside of that, if you get hurt in the National Guard or reserves, and then 2 weeks later you go to a civilian doctor and you never mentioned anything of it, it's hard.
Yeah.
But everybody wants their nickel. And it's like, well, I served, so I know I got something. And it's like, but I can't, we got to be able to prove it. If you cannot prove with medical evidence, you're going to be up that creek of turds without a paddle. Like, it ain't going to work out for you.
Oh, and she also talks about Camp Lejeune. I didn't want to play it because I would get totally angry. She talks about the Camp Lejeune.
If you weren't at Camp Lejeune from 1958 to 1987, then step back.
Right.
That's the only year date ranges that Camp Lejeune works, right?
Right.
So, a decade after World War II, right? And a decade after Vietnam.
Right. I give this woman props. In the first quarter of this year, making $1.03 million, I give her props. Because her advertising is phenomenal for people that don't know the truth.
Right.
Correct.
That don't know.
That don't know. And I'm not advertising for them, period. I'm advertising against them. I'm advertising for the VSO officers that don't take a dime out of your paycheck and that will work for you. And that's why I brought Sean on, because I mean, when I tell y'all want to go over, listen to Guardians Advocate on TikTok, go in and listen to their videos. Sean, Ashley, y'all's whole group is magnificent. And
we try. We appreciate that, brother.
I mean, I tell you what, I'm in there. I'm trying to cut hair and I'm listening at the same time. And somebody's like, "Who you listen to?" I said, "I listen to Sean. Shh, be quiet. I'll just get a haircut." And I do, because what fascinates me is you don't bullshit around. You really don't. And you tell people, like, look, just send me your file. Let me look over. I'll tell you yes or no.
Yep.
And I mean, I did hear you one day tell a guy, you were like, well, you're in, combat.
Yep.
He went to file PTSD. Were you ever in combat? How long did you serve? And I think he was talking to you some about some experience he had in boot camp was bad and this, and this. And you were trying not to laugh at him. It was one of the very first lives you did. Yep. And I was over there going, this is the problem. Too many people want to scam the system and on inside and out. And I'm not saying veterans trying to scam. We're really not. You're trying to figure out what's wrong with you, what's going on. And that's what VSO does for you. When you have people who prey on veterans, I'm going to come after you, and I ain't going to stop. Sir. And what were you going to say, John?
Well, and to Sean's comment earlier, so on the podcast Guardians Advocate, although Sean said he can't coach you, what this woman is saying, well, they can't coach you. So here's what she means by coaching, is because when Sean sends somebody like to Ashley, a CMP examiner, and Sean says veterans are their own worst demise, because when you're sitting down in front of that CMP examiner, and most of us by nature try and be upbeat with other people we haven't met, you try and be kind, and you try and be your best bet, but that you're doing yourself an ill service. And because you're there for a reason, because you got shit that is, I'll just say it, fucked up, and you need help. And if you go and make it sound like everything's a rainbow, then you're screwing yourself. And that's what Sean this gal means by coaching. Well, we're going to tell you how to say and what to say it. No, I don't want anybody to lie. Be honest, but don't sit there like it's your best day.
Right.
What's that doing for you?
My one phrase I use, and it's not coaching, right? I just tell them straight up. If it's that bad, show them your worst day. Let them rate you off your worst day, not your best day. You're not going to get anything for your best day. If they see your best day, you look perfectly normal. But they need to be able to see what your worst day looks like. It doesn't matter if you've got one day a month where it's bad. That's what they need to see, because that's what you're going to get compensated for. That's what you're going to get rated at. They're going to see that one day. But if they never see it, you never see the rating.
Hey, and I'll tell you this, man. I thought Ashley was about to come out through that dang computer when she first saw it. Man, because the next live y'all had, I mean, somebody said something and she brought that up right off the bat. I was like, oh, Ashley's about to kill somebody.
No, we've got a couple of VA Raiders that will get in our comment section on our lives and be like, that's not true. And she started finding them and picking them out, and she'll be like, hey, that'd be enough from you. All right? We're not going to have you up in here confusing these veterans.
Yeah.
And by the end of the live, they're like, no, you're right. And we've got plenty of VA Raiders that are on our side, and they're like, no, they're speaking straight facts. Like, what he's saying is nitty gritty down to the bare bones, what's got to happen. And if it doesn't happen that way, it's not going to please the VA.
And there was a lady named Michelle I saw on there that was talking about that, saying correct. Everything they're saying is correct.
Yes.
And I remember her being on there. I can't believe I remember the damn name.
Well, and that's like this week. So a lot of my claims that I filed back in May, June timeframe are coming to end right now. Okay. So most of the claims that I file take 120 to 180 days from beginning to end. As long as everything goes smooth, you don't reschedule your CMP exams, or you don't miss your CMP exams. It's really all based on you as the veteran, right? The timeline is, if they call you within 10 days and you schedule your appointment 6 months out because you're too busy, well, ain't nothing going to get done for 6 months. So don't come calling back being like, well, the VA took a year. Well, that was based on you. You needed to go on a 6-month vacation. Sorry. But if you schedule it within a week from when they call you, I've got claims right now that have been done 60 days ago and they're ready for decision because they were so fast in getting things done. It's just all based around the veteran. But I got a call yesterday, or got an email today, rather, sorry, from one of my really good friends that has been in our lives from the beginning. Very first claim this veteran's ever done. And we hit 80% out the door. And they didn't, out of the 26 things that I had claimed that were all legit based off of service treatment records, only 4 of them were denied. Right.
Wow.
So when you look at that, that's a heck of a success rate, right? Got that veteran to 80%. Now, 3 of those things, I went and looked at the rating decision, which was dropped on the 22nd, and today is what, the 24th? So I went through and I read the rating decision that was dropped 2 days ago because I just got the notification, right? Looked at the rating decision and I read the entire rating decision where the VA identified that this veteran did have service treatment records that documented that she was treated and diagnosed with 3 of the 4 conditions that were denied, right? And then in favorable findings showed that this veteran has shown treatment records from the date of exit all the way till current, but they still denied it. So I went ahead and filed a supplemental claim, 20-0995, and justified it by saying, how are you saying she was treated on active duty? This veteran is still within 1 year of exiting, so it's the golden year. So it doesn't matter whether it was on active duty or not. That 1 year post exit is still considered service connected. So this was definitely a clear and unmistakable error by the VA, and asked them to file a duty to assist the error and date it back to the original date of claim. And it'll go back to the original date of claim, and then that veteran will get another retroactive pay. I think this last one was almost $16,000. And then the next retroactive paycheck will come because the veteran will hit 100% once it's all done. It was just an error made by the VA, but it's simple. If your VSO is actually doing their job, they can go through and instantly battle these things. And that will probably have a turnaround time of 30 to 60 days because it's obvious.
Yeah, see, that's fantastic. We are getting to the end of the show. I will put it in the bio. I'm going to put your email address in there.
Yeah.
And everything. And we're going to be bringing Sean back on more and more. I mean, y'all need to go on TikTok, and don't worry, I'm going to start getting them to try to do a podcast of their own. But don't tell them I said that. But, Sean, thanks for being on. And, of course, John, I always thank you for coming on. And to let y'all know, before the show, I posted a link for Nova out of Florida. Their research, they're coming up with some new research and stuff. Y'all please go look. It's in our Facebook page. I mean, it gives the details why they're doing it and what they're doing, and most of it is at home. Y'all go check it out. Click on the link, and and thank y'all for sending me a lot of emails. I got a lot of really good emails at kevinsimon@go4sideffects.com. I got some really good emails I'm going to go on after show, tell these guys about. But I'm going to thank y'all for listening, and we will see y'all next week. And don't forget to go to Patreon and check us out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening.